Hello, this is the presentation portion of Project 2, High Fidelity Interactive Prototype. We're going to look at a few things today. We're going to start out with a summarization of the processes that went into doing the final build of the High Fidelity prototype. We're going to talk a little bit about key design decisions, and then we're actually going to demonstrate the prototype. We'll start on design view, and then we'll pop over to prototype view. So to summarize the process, I really followed the instruction blocks from class. I would say it began at least mentally with a heuristic analysis of signalquiz.com. From there, and I'm going to bring these up on the screen as I talk about them. Hold on, let me move this button here. All right, from there, I created the personas, Stacy the achiever and Joe the provider. And both are based on individuals I know and who have used the Signal Quiz website. I also did the initial interviews with them. And based on the personas, and the interviews, I created a user journey map, and that was based on Persona Joe as he navigates the website taking a Signal Names quiz. I also created pain points and the opportunities, which are listed in here, as well as an emotion graph at the end. So not a very smooth task flow. Lots of issues that Joe uncovered, and they were also applicable to Stacy. Stacy is more technically adept, so she wasn't as impacted by them as Joe, but there are definitely things that needed improvements. All right, well, after the journey map, then I went on to create the low fidelity wireframes. Get those on the screen here, and I divided them into I mimicked the same phases from the user journey map. And you can see those, phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. And after that, I went on to create a style guide for the Signal Quiz app. All right, and I did make some changes throughout the process on this. I actually adjusted the colors all the way at the end of everything, but or as I was creating the high fidelity prototype. All right, after the style guide, we went on to the component library. Okay. They're listed here. I did add a couple of components after I initially completed it. I made some notes on everything. This one at the bottom is how to create a single variant component by combining a collection of variants. And after that, it was a home screen mock-up. Okay, get that up on the screen here. And I later modified this. I moved the login and sign up buttons below the navigation header for consistency. That was based on feedback I received during class. And after that, we went to the mid-fidelity interactive prototype, which I had both personas test. And that led to more usability testing and making my final design decisions. I thought. I mean, I did make a couple of minor ones even after this. But then I went on to, all right, get the usability testing on here. You can see there's the 4 main points on here. And the biggest one was difficulty locating the correct quizzes. A lot of frustration went into finding the actual quiz. Now, and it was different for each persona. For Joe, he's a Norfolk Southern freight engineer. So he only has one, and he works on Conrail territory, old Conrail territory. Signals are still referenced as Conrail. And he only has one signal set to know for his, basically only one rule book. He's only tested on one. Where his train crosses over another line, another freight line or Amtrak line, then there are special instructions governing that. But he's pretty much only required to know one signal system. Whereas Stacy, on the other hand, being an Amtrak train crew member, conductor, so on her route, she has to know, right now, I believe, 6 different systems. So she has to be qualified on not only the Amtrak Michigan signals, but also Norfolk Southern, because her train travels over a portion of Norfolk Southern. CN Canadian National, she operates on NORAC territory, so she needs to know those signals. So there's quite a few. When I left, I was actively qualified on 7 signal systems. So it's kind of a big deal finding the correct quiz, and it's particularly for Joe. Why should I have to sift through over 40 listings to find the Norfolk Southern color light signal test? So that was a lot of time and reflection went into the usability testing, and it definitely impacted the design decisions. And you can see made minor adjustments to the build after the mid-fidelity walkthroughs. And the end result, though, was an overwhelming approval of the design changes and implementation. User satisfaction went from weary, confused, exasperated, and frustrated, those were Joe's terms, to engaged, positive, and very satisfied. And one user commented, actually it was Stacy, said, "Don't do anything else, it's perfect." So that's pretty much where it was. I did make some changes. I moved a couple of buttons after that, but that brings us into the high fidelity. All right, so we're going to look at design view here for a moment. Let me bring a little more on the screen here. I've created 2 flows. You'll see them. Well, let me skip over to prototype just for a second so you can see my flows, and then we'll go back to design. Flow 1 and flow 2. Flow 1 is basically taking the same signal test that Joe took, and that's a Norfolk Southern test. Let me go back on design. So here's the basic panels for this, and what I've done here is if you didn't have a guided walkthrough and you were navigating this yourself, I used the dark blue on the button, the default button color, for items that the user would typically click. So we started out, we went on the login, and then you can see the submit button is highlighted, then Norfolk Southern quiz, and that brought him to color light signal names, which that's the quiz he wants to take today. And but he could take any of these. And then after clicking on color light signal names, he's brought to that quiz page, and he has 2 choices. He can either start the quiz or review the color lights study guide. And this edition rather, was one that came out of the interview process, that users really didn't have an easy way to review the study guide, and they might only need to spend a moment on it, but just to get a refresh before you take the quiz, it's a smart thing to do. And it's really what you would do if you were in a real testing environment. You always review a study guide of some sort before you take the actual test, assuming you have an opportunity to, and you usually do. So at this point, you'll see in a moment on the prototype view, but he would start the quiz. And there's only one question on here just to simplify the number of displays that you would be navigating through. But question 1 of 1 for this particular flow, and he wants to know the name or needs to answer the name of this particular signal. Well, it's a medium approach medium. And so he does select the correct answer. And from there, he can either submit answers, or if he'd gotten it incorrect, then he could start the quiz over again. That was a request that was made because some of these quizzes will have up to, like, for example, say the position light quiz, that has just over 20 questions on it. So, and if you know, and you need 100% to get a passing score. So if you know as a user, if you know you've gotten one wrong and you failed it, do you really want to go through all the other questions? Well, some people may, just for the sheer practice. But Joe's not the type that wants to do that. He wants the option to start that quiz over. I failed this one. Let me do it again. I know I clicked the wrong one. I mean, how could it be anything other than medium approach medium? But at any rate, so it's been answered. And then he goes to submit my answers and gets to the score sheet. And in this case, he did pass. And he now has an option of try again to redo it, or again, go back to that study guide. So that's basically flow 1. Now, flow 2, I'm glad I had an opportunity to do the walkthrough with you because it actually starts in an awkward place here. Joe has already selected the wrong answer. And so he gets the answer result screen, and he selected approach slow when as we know, now medium approach medium was the correct answer. So he'll be given that information, and he can submit his answers if he likes, or he can just start that quiz over, and which is what he's probably going to do. But right now, on a good day, he would probably do that. Right now, he's going to hit submit, and then he sees his fail, and reinforced by the red, and he can either try again, or now what he really should do is review the study guide, and he'll have an opportunity to do that. So basically, he's going to click that study guide, and here it is for Norfolk Southern Conrail Color Light Signal Study Guide. Now there is actually about, on the Signal Quiz website, I created about 4 pages of the Norfolk Southern, and it's not going to fit on one screen, so we've got a continue button, would be a continue button on the bottom. And after Joe has reviewed the study guide, then he can go right in and take the quiz again. So that's flow 2. Now we're going to go over to prototype view, and we're going to just do that click through, and you can see the interactions on here. So here's flow 1, this top row up here. And hold on just a moment. Okay. All right. Well, let's actually go to the screen here. Oh, wait. Oh, one thing we did forget here is that all these screens are fully responsive also. I wanted to show you that in design view. So we're going to pop back quickly. We're going to select this first pane. Let's go into design view. Actually, we can do any one of them, but hold on. Let's get that selected. All right. So not only does it go widthwise, go back to where we were, but also shift click and you'll see it expands like it should. Let's go back to the 402 width size. So all these screens have been tested, and as you know, even a minor change can throw off the responsiveness. But basically, these were all done utilizing auto layout, and so they are fully responsive. All right, so now let's go back to the actual prototype itself, and we start out on the home page. And on this, I only did it on the first one just for demo purposes. But I put an interaction here where when you hover, then it mimics the because this is an app and on a mobile device, it mimics the press because there's no hover, but that's what you see here. So this is what they want to do to log in. All right, and here's the fields here. Types in the email and or username and the password. Hit submit, or you can also go forgot your password, which is very typical. So anyhow, it's submit is the live button, and it welcomes Joe. It looks up his login profile, and he scans. This was the biggest design decision right here. And so instead of going through over 40 tests to try to figure out where you want, Joe can now just go right to, or Stacy as well, can go right to Norfolk Southern and go there. You don't have to go through, you don't have to scroll. There's no scrolling involved, just a click. Now, Joe's going to click Norfolk Southern, but Stacy may want to start with Amtrak. She's also qualified on Canadian National, so she might go to CN this particular time, or CSX. She doesn't need CSX for her current job because her route doesn't cover that, but it's in Michigan, so she might need it at some time. And she definitely needs NORAC. But anyhow, right now, Joe is interested in taking, seeing, well, the option, what test do we have for Norfolk Southern? So he clicks that. And from the Norfolk Southern screen, now he has 4 options. There's 4 different tests. There's color light, position light, signal names, and signal indications. Indications are basically what the what you're told to do by that particular color light pattern. It's the meaning of the actual signal. You know, reduce speed until the locomotive has cleared all active switches and various things that represent instructions to the operating crew. So right now he wants to take the color light signal names, and he'll click that, and he'll be brought to the color light signal names quiz page. And there's a reference to which rule book. This is the current rule book for Norfolk Southern. They publish new rule books every couple of years, and sometimes the signals do change. They typically will add signals, but they also phase out signals, and it's more common for the actual indications to change. But every new rule book has some changes in it. And so here he's got the option to start quiz and or do the study guide. These are both dark, so I've made them both active. But we're going to start. He's going to do the start quiz, And here we are. Okay, what is the name of this NS Conrail signal? It's rule number 312. And it is a medium approach medium, so he's going to click that. Now, I was really pleased with the way this turned out. When I was putting the interactions in here, I was able to, I have two variants in the two component variants and for the radio buttons. And first, the one I loaded was the plain default and unselected. And then there was also a selected variant. And so I was able to make the interaction change to the selected variant on click. So you'll see this change. And there you go. Now it's been selected. And so he's going to click next to proceed. And okay, he's got an indicator in green that it's correct. So that's great. So now you can imagine him just going through any number of questions to get to the end. This again, this particular quiz only has the one question. So now he has the answer, the option rather of submit my answers or start quiz over. So we're going to do submit answers, and he's got 100. Okay, 100 out of 100. Correct answer is 1, incorrect 0. That's a pass. He spent 12 seconds on this. And now he can either try again if he wants to redo it. Maybe he failed it. So, but regardless, he might want to do it again. Or he can look at the study guide. So if he clicks this, now he's got the study guide. So another thing I want to point out too is I've made all the home buttons here, the logo point to home. So we're going to go there, and then you can start the process over. So now we're just going to take a brief look at flow 2. All right. And let's go over to prototype. All right, flow 2. And I was able to set, if you don't select a particular panel, then I've set flow 2 as auto result incorrect as the starting point for this. So it's, that Figma gives you the option to select the flow starting point. You can also override that by clicking a frame, and then this, for example, would be the starting point. But for lack of anything selected, this flow. Now, when you have two flows, let's see what happens then. All right, so hold on. We're going to go over to play and let that load up here. Okay, hold on. Well, it brought me to flow 1. So we're going to exit out of that, and we're just going to select this as the flow starting point. All right. And here we go. Okay, so in this scenario, this is the one where he's already gotten a incorrect answer. So he knows he's failed. So he can either submit this or he can start the quiz over, in which case he's brought back into flow 1. Go ahead and start that. Yeah, flow 1 doesn't have the option of redoing the or bringing you to an incorrect answer. It's only got it only has the correct answer coded in that particular screen. All right, so now we're going to go back here, and what he really wants to do is he wants to end up at that study guide. All right, so user 2 has previously chosen an incorrect answer. They receive a fail, and the user has the option to take the quiz again or review the NS study guide. From the study guide, we're going to have to, the user can also take the quiz. All logos point to flow 1 homepage, because that is where the homepage is in flow 1. So basically, from here, he can either start over, which brings you up to flow 1, or submit the answers, which brings you to the score fail. And from there, he can either try again or go to the study guide. And all right, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to actually go to that study guide. All right, okay. So he's going to go ahead and submit answer. And he's going to go, he knows he failed. So he's going to go right to the study guide. And there it is. So there's the study guide. And now he has the option of either going home or now that he's reviewed the study guide, he wants to take the quiz again. So that brings him back up to flow 1. And he still can go back to the study guide if he's a little uncertain, or he can just take the quiz. So that's it for the prototype. Click through. I'm trying to think briefly if there's anything major I've forgotten. I don't want to make this too long. My intent was just to provide you with the basic information. So thank you for watching. We appreciate I appreciate rather the time you spent on it. Thank you.